Okay, welcome everybody. If you're just joining into the Touchstone Essentials webinar, I promise you this evening, this afternoon, this morning, wherever you're listening into, this is going to be our best webinar yet. The gentleman that's going to be speaking on this webinar this evening or this afternoon, wherever you may be, has just blown me away with his knowledge. He's an exceptional gentleman. Not only is he super smart, but as I've got to know him in a bit, preparing for this webinar, we've been discussing backwards and forwards and going over notes and what content we feel is going to bring most value to this webinar. You know, one thing that has struck me in particular is just the actual gentle, caring nature of Dr. Paul Moon. And I didn't actually know this before Tuesday, and we were going over the content of what we were going to talk about. And I just happened to ask Paul, you know, why has he spent so many years and so much time, so much energy investing and studying and learning all of this material? And the answer that he gave me just blew me away. And I'm going to make sure we actually talk a little bit about that, because that was not part of the agenda on this webinar. So if you've just joined in, I'd want to welcome you to the webinar. I promise you we're going to you just deliver exceptional value on this. I mean, even myself, I'm privileged enough to be in a position where I get to listen to some of this content on a day-to-day basis, but I promise you tonight is going to be an exception to the rule. We're going to try and keep it to around 30 minutes, but if it's going super well, I'm not going to hold back. I'm just going to let Paul keep on talking. I really encourage you to participate. If you have some questions, send them in. I guess let's go ahead and get started. Paul, just let's do a sound check. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, man, I can hear you now.
Perfect. So let me introduce Dr. Paul Moon. He is a natural medicine doctor. He is also a fully qualified dentist. But one thing that struck me about Paul, and I asked him, you know, you already had a really successful career as a dentist, and you're clearly a very bright, smart individual. You've been blessed with success. What made you, you know, change your career? I know it's, you know, there's some similarities, but to become a natural medical doctor is a huge investment of time and energy and focus. And, you know, with everything going on in life, that's no small decision. What was it that made you think, you know, I have to do something? How did that come about?
Well, Matt, I think a lot of people go through a personal tragedy in life. Like my wife, 5 years ago, was diagnosed with sarcoma. And when a doctor tells you you have sarcoma, your whole life ends that day. You don't care about the next day. You don't really nothing about work. So there was an emotional turmoil. But fortunately, it was a misdiagnosis. It was a benign tumor. But that did not erase the physical and emotional trauma. The surgery was done and it recovered. But to this day, just the word cancer brings chills down my back. And when you ask the doctor, why did it occur? And you'll get this answer all the time. We don't know. Well, it's not enough for me. So one of the things they said was, this might come back, which is totally unacceptable. So you're going to have to worry about this thing, cancer or tumor coming back. So I spent the whole time, I spent all this time getting educated to basically figure out what the cause is. If you know the cause, you can prevent it. So it's a lifestyle change. Now we're living a totally different lifestyle. The food, the water, and the time we spent, more vacations. So when you go through something like a personal tragedy like this, you change your whole life.
So, I mean, clearly. So, you know, I mean, it still gets me. I can't imagine the emotional upheaval that you must have went through, but it's clear to me this has instilled a huge passion in you, and you know, you have an exceptional ability to go out and help other people with this, you know, and I guess, have empathy for you, or for them, sorry. Natural medicine, functional medicine, naturopathic medicine is obviously something that both of us are very passionate about. And as a company, we try and, produce products that are really effective and actually give people real results. And natural, of course. Do you see a rise in the popularity? And can you talk a little bit about where you see that coming and how you share your experience and what's changed over the last couple of years?
Well, I think the naturopathic or functional medicine, the MD side, is rising because the need. When the traditional medicine naturally can't solve the problem, what do? Mm-hmm. You look toward natural functional medicine to solve the problem. But there's a difference between a traditional and a functional naturopathic basis of, and why. What medicine being a traditional medicine and why medicine being naturopathic and functional medicine. Let me explain that. When a traditional medical doctor sees what kind of symptom, see a sick individual, they see a set of symptoms. Mm-hmm. And they'll diagnose it and give it a name, flu. And they'll give a prescribe a medication to that symptom. But that drug naturally suppresses, inhibits, and blocks a biological process and a physiological process. This is what medicine. We don't know what the underlying reason for this problem. Mm-hmm. So basically you're giving a drug to treat a set of symptoms. For example, if we have arthritis, as we know what arthritis is, an inflammatory process in a joint. And a normal drug that's given is ibuprofen, an NSAID. And what does an NSAID do? It suppresses the inflammation, the pain, and the inflammatory process. But what happens when you run out? The inflammatory process comes back again. So you have to constantly use the ibuprofen. It's a symptomatic approach.
It hasn't really addressed the root issue. No.
But if you really want to know the root causes of it, then simply it could have been the lack of exercise on the part of the individual. It could have been environmental toxin. It could have been an allergen, their lifestyle. It could have been nutritional deficiency. So we have to know what the root cause is instead of just suppressing the problem. So what I find natural medicine, I define it as, it involves the understanding what the root cause, why did the disease occur in the first place, and apply it. I'll about that later down, but that's the definition of a functional or natural medicine. So natural medicines they're keen at identifying what causes the disease, regardless. It's toxin. It could be heavy metals, pesticides. It could be an infection. Everybody forgets the infection is one of the major causes of disease, and a lot of them has to do with candida. It could be done with parasites. For that underlying cause. Supplement could be vitamins and minerals. They could be deprived of it. You can use herbs. You can detoxify them. In homeopathic, they got stage 1 and stage 2 detoxification. And you can also use exercise. So what we're finding is, if you can find a core issue, then we can resolve the case. Let me explain. There's a nice why doctor. Over 75 years ago, there's a Nobel Peace Prize winner, Dr. Otto Warburg. And this is what he states. But nobody today can say one does not know what cancer and the prime cause be. On the contrary, there is no disease whose prime cause is better known. So that today's ignorance is no longer an excuse that one cannot do more about prevention. This is a wonderful individual. He knows what the cause is, and he knows how to prevent it. So this is why naturopathic medicine is on the rise. It's prevention through nutrition and exercise, not just traditional medicine. And as I said, it's a combination of herbal medicine, supplement, diet, detoxification, and stress reduction. So let's talk about some of the core issues and some of the examples. Well, if you have an individual with a heart problem, and this is mostly probably going to be in a North American diet, in the morning we'll go to a McDonald's, Burger King, and then at dinner we have KFC. Wow, that is, we missed a few things, right? So with all the saturated fat, we're damaging our heart. We're getting atherosclerosis and we're having a heart problem. So what does the traditional medicine do? Well, we give them heart medication to suppress, inhibit, block, such as if you have high blood pressure, what do you give them? You give them beta blocker, calcium channel blocker. If the heart's not functioning, you give them digoxin. How about we just change their diet?
Mm-hmm.
Fatty acid, coenzyme Q10, something to rebuild the heart. That's how we get them out of there. Let's talk about another one. A lot of people have irritable bowel syndrome, IBS. What do you characterize that? We have cramping, abdominal pain, bloating, gas, diarrhea, and constipation. This is, I think, about 86% of the patient that comes in. They have a problem with this. So what do we do with this patient? Again, we change their diet. And then address their deficiencies. And what's the deficiency? If anybody knows probiotic, there's also prebiotic and probiotics. But everybody forgets also irritable bowel syndrome is also caused by emotional stressors. Mm-hmm. You got vitamin deficiency, but there's also pathogens in there. There's viruses, there's parasites, there's candida. Those have to be addressed. By just suppressing it, we're not doing anything. We're just masking it. The process of inflammation, infections is going constantly. And then sometimes these end up in ulcerative colitis case. And what do you, a lot of the bad cases, they're using methotrexate, which is anti-cancer drugs, Remicade, very expensive drugs. It costs almost $4,000 a treatment. So I think the prevention is a lot more economical approach and a better approach. And then we're always inundated with mercury. Did you know these mercuries end up in we get mental fog, dementia. And how do you take care of that? So you have a good product, Pure Body Extra Strength. It's zeolite. It's in a nanometer range. It's small enough to get into the blood-brain barrier and take them out. That's a solution. We can support the brain because it's a fatty organ, so you need essential fatty acid like DHA. But we can support the body as well. But the major problem is we need to detoxify. So maybe the next topic we should talk about detoxification.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, if I was just to summarize really what you're doing, rather than looking at an isolated cause, you're taking a holistic whole body approach, and you can't possibly heal one thing of the body. You got to take in everything: emotional well-being, mental well-being, physical well-being, diet, lifestyle. And when you do that, that's when you can really get the results. And that's the education that you're providing to people, alongside with some wonderful products. And I guess what you're about to talk about is really going into the importance of detoxification and how that plays a crucial role. I guess where somebody starts, they come into your practice for the very first time. Maybe they've not taken any of this on board ever in their entire life form. I'm guessing from, and obviously this is my worldview, not necessarily your worldview, but I'm guessing that maybe detoxification would be the first place you start because of the importance, maybe?
Absolutely. But because toxins are everywhere. Mm-hmm. And we hear so much about it. And the pollution today is astronomical. In an environment, we get from the greenhouse effect, the global warming, smog air, we got water contamination, we got food problem, pesticides, work environment. We live in a building. We don't even get out to get on the grass anytime in the day. So we're often overwhelmed. We're helpless. I think it's easy for us basically totally ignore the whole subject. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of us do. We carry on life as usual. But the problem is, you know, someday we're going to experience illness from toxins, particularly heavy metal. The toxic metals accumulate in high quantity in our bodies, and this leads to chronic disease and even premature death. At this point, we're trying everything. We're going to try all kinds of detoxification things that exist in the community, because we don't want this to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? These toxins are not new. We generally have not learned from the past mistakes. We're doomed to repeat all the time, again and again. Let's look at some of the history problems. Arsenic and lead. Napoleon, when they checked his hair for arsenic, it was almost 100 times more than normal. So I think we think that Napoleon was poisoned. Well, actually, in fact, it was probably from the environment he lived. The potential source of arsenic are from seafood, well water, coal burning, wood preservative, wine, wallpaper dye, and many other pollutants of the day. What about the Roman empires? They used lead in everything. Wine making, lead. The historian believes that it was the lead that led the downfall of the Roman empires. The mad Caesar, the mad emperor. But that doesn't end now. According to Dr. Morton Walker, because of our modern technology in the Western world, today it's estimated that we're more than 1,000 times more polluted with heavy metal than when Christ walked this earth. That's 1,000 times more. So no matter how hard we try to minimize the exposure to chemical and toxin, they keep showing up in our bodies. Things like mercury, lead, cadmium, arsenics, even aluminum, plastic byproduct, radioactive particle for Fukushima, and a volatile organic compound like formaldehyde. These are all toxins. And we find that toxins are totally unavoidable. There is no getting over it. They're in your food you eat, the water you drink, the air you breathe. And they cause a host of illness and disease. You know, there's 22 damaging heavy metal in our body. Primarily, I just told you, it's mercury, aluminum, cadmium, arsenic, and nickel. They're entering our environment in an alarming rate and amounts. Even our health profession. Go on.
One thing I didn't say in the introduction is, Paul, you're actual, as well as being a natural medical doctor, you're a bioenergetic consultant. So I presume you have an extra insight into your patients when they come to you. You can actually see what's really going on inside their body, and see how much of a real issue this is for pretty much everybody.
Oh, everybody has heavy metal toxicity at least. We're not talking about anything else. But it astounds me that even our health professional, including I don't put any more silver amalgams in, but still, a lot of dentists, cardiac surgeon, orthopedics. They use mercury, copper, palladium, nickel, silver, and zinc. So when you see all these patients come in with knee replacements and hip replacement, it's astounding that they're already toxic, as you said. It's just the world we live in. But we do have a choice. We can get these metal out by detoxifying them. So we have to do this on a daily basis. We can't just say, oh, tomorrow, you know. This is going to enable us to maintain a level of health that's not possible with a toxic body. We're going to begin to thrive again. If you ever wonder when you're 14 years old with all that vibrant energy, and then when you get to 30, there's a mental fog all day, well, I've been there.
I think we all might have had.
I know. You know what most people, the patient tells me? They said, no, I think you just don't realize it. And then I think you're really choosing to ignore them, or you're just chalking up to being old. That's what I always hear. Some of the science things I hear is, I always ask them, do you often feel sluggish or tired? Do you have trouble sleeping through the night? Do you tend to catch cold readily? And I see an epidemic of people catching cold constantly, multiple times through the year. And they have lots of headaches. They feel bloated, lethargic, stressed. But they all chalk this up as a normal life. But this is not normal. So we got to detox regularly. The problem is our body is they're in overdrive. They're trying to protect us from the overwhelming amount of these toxins. We ingest this every day, and we have our body immune system is trying to clean them out. Your liver's trying to clean them out. But people forget these are enzymatic process. The body has to use up enzymes, and that enzyme could have been used for something else, but we're stealing them just to stay alive. But the sad thing is, a lot of the toxins get stored in our fat. And if you ever notice a person tired, if your immune system is working 24/7, you look tired in the morning. Mm-hmm. Okay? And if these fats are stored in the fat, you can't lose the weight. That's why a lot of people are obese. So these toxins basically interfere with the immune system. They mess with your memory, clarity, and focus. They disrupt your endocrine system, affect your energy, sleep, and quality of life. Did you know these are really expensive to get rid of once it's in the system? Let's talk about that. When a toxin assaults your body, the body has to deal with it. If the body recognizes it, we can use the liver and the kidney to get rid of it, right? Mm-hmm. But if the body doesn't recognize it, it encapsulates it and puts it in the fat cell. It takes a lot of energy to maintain this storage. And it's a real caloric energy we could use for regenerating our bodies. We can't do this alone. So we need something to detox the body. It's not even the chronic disease are just stored in the fat. We run out of storage system. Guess where it's going? Your muscles, your heart, your joint, your arthritis. Sorry about that.
No worries. You're a busy guy.
Whoa, anyway. But it's not hanging up. Sorry about that. I thought I shut them off. So where were we? Basically, when you run out of energy keeping these toxins, you get sick, very ill. You ever notice a person who comes in who needs to sleep 20 hours? Keeping us healthy, vibrant. It's just used to keep these toxic load maintained. But you notice that the detoxification, I've been hearing a lot more in the last few years. You can sweat in a sauna. It's not portable. You can do colonic. It's very effective, but I don't know, it's not pleasurable. You can do juicing, but we're going to run into pesticides. Zeolite is practical, portable, it's safe. Of all these methods, only one is systematic. It's systemic detox. It cleans out your blood. It cleans out your body of all the air you breathe and the air, water you drink.
Paul, when you talk about it being systemic, I want to make sure that everybody truly understands what that means, because you mentioned colonic saunas or juicing, for example. Let's take colonics. That really focuses on the digestive system. But what you're talking about here is an ability to detoxify the full body. I mean, literally everywhere. Would that be a correct assumption?
Absolutely. The reason it's these zeolites are average size 0.3 microns. So anything that's smaller than 0.3 micron will go through the digestive tract and ends up in your blood, and systematically will go to the lung, everywhere where the toxin is. But the funny thing that it's a unique molecule because it's an enzymatic reaction. The body recognizes the pre and the post zeolites.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is once the zeolite has attached to toxin, it comes through the lymphatic system, back in the colon, and they're removed. This is what I mean by systemic use. But more than that, this particular zeolite is called clinoctolite. It's a natural mineral with negative charge. It's a very special one. It tracks heavy metals, particularly with +4 charge, +3. A lot of our toxins are very reactive. Anything with a plus charge. It looks like PCBs, heavy metals, lead could end up with 4 charges. Well, let's look at the chemistry. You asked the reason this is effective. Zeolite is a hydrated aluminum silicate. It's formed when the lava and the volcanic ash meets the seawater. It produces a negative one. But let's look at it. Yeah, they've been used for the history, inadvertently. Like the Roman, when they're building the aqueduct, they lined it with zeolites. Suddenly, the water tastes better. It was probably chelating out the lead. Compared to the one aqueduct that wasn't lined with the zeolite. But this wasn't really until Swedish chemists actually named it zeolite, which comes from the 2 Greek word boiling stone. But until 1960, we really didn't know what zeolite was property and use were. But we have to understand this is a unique molecule. It has an interesting cage structure. So I said it's a hydrated aluminum silicate. So it has aluminum, it has silicates, it has calcium, it has potassium, and sodium. But it's where the aluminum structure crosses. If you break that structure, the negative charge is gone. It's this negatively charged structures when it comes near the heavy metal, insecticide, pesticide, herbicide, chemical that has a positive charge. These chemicals are attracted to zeolite. If they're small enough, they'll be encased. If not, they'll attach to. But this goes beyond the explanation of how effective this is. They have 2 functions. Like I said, if the toxins are really tiny, like free mercury or insecticide, it will take it inside the honeycomb open structure zeolite. But as you know, most of our heavy metals, they don't exist in free particle or will be ravaging our body. They're in salt systems. So we're looking at mercury, we're looking at cadmium, we're looking at lead salts. And these zeolites are only 4 to 5 angstrom. That's 10 to the negative 10. So how do they get rid of these? These zeolite actually attaches to the surface of these molecules, and they're ferried away. And there's also a cationic exchange. The zeolites willing to give up is calcium for lead. So the calcium comes off, and the lead attaches, and the lead is let out into the body. The last one, sandwich effect. A bunch of zeolites, 4 or 5, gangs up on a molecule, neutralizes that molecule, and takes them away. Imagine.
So someone in a real life scenario, if somebody's come into your practice and maybe they've got the headaches, the bloating, the brain fog, what can someone expect? Say someone begins on one of these detox programs, maybe taking the Pure Body drops or the Pure Body Extra.
Yeah. Well, most of the time, if you have heavy metal, you're going to feel it. Mm-hmm. It's going to disrupt the oxidative phosphorylation mitochondria. So you're not going to get energy. You're going to be lethargic. You're going to be, if the digestion, if you just the immune system in your gut, you're going to have infections. So if these zeolites actually pull these heavy metal out, it's going to relieve the maintenance energy that's required. And the body can go into regenerating, repairing all the damage these metals have caused over time. Suddenly the person said, wow, I don't understand. I feel my mental fog's gone away. Oh, I had a little bit of dementia, but I'm feeling much better. That usually happens in older individuals. But my bloating, it's not there anymore. I don't get a cold anymore as usual. That's the kind of stuff that you'll see.
And when somebody's done a detoxification program with you, I presume you look at nutrition as well, and that's where yourself, you believe in a whole food approach to nutrition. I also know that you also believe that particularly greens, the chlorophyll in greens is particularly important when detoxifying for certain reasons that I'll let you explain. But can we talk a little bit about the nutrition side of things as well?
Oh, absolutely. The nutrition side is important, but to finish off the detox, the chlorophyll, the zeolite doesn't remove any PCBs or plastic without a charge. This is where the chlorophyll from the broccoli, parsley, and all these comes in. These chlorophyll removes those non-charged toxins. So that's why the nutrition part is also important. But to best put it, here's Dr. Linus Pauling, 2 times Nobel Peace Prize winner. He says, you can trace every ailment, every sickness, every disease to vitamin mineral deficiencies. This is what vitamins and minerals. This question is one of the most asked questions to nutrition and health experts. It probes deep to the core what truly required to be healthy. They think if we eat a good diet regularly, but you know what the answer is? Unfortunately, it's resounding no. Matt?
Yeah, I'm here. I just changed the quality setting to see if we were starting to break up a little bit, but we should be go. I just dropped the quality down a little bit.
Okay, that's great. So, Mark Hyman, MD, founder and medical director of Ultra Wellness Center in Lenox, Massachusetts, and the author of Ultra Simple Diet, he puts it very the best way he can. He writes, if people eat wild, fresh, organic, local, non-genetically modified food grown in virgin, mineral-rich soil that has not been transported across vast distance and stored for months before eaten, and you work, live outside, breathe only fresh air, drink unpolluted water, and sleep 9 hours a night, and move your body around every day, free from chronic stress and exposure to environment toxin, then perhaps you might not need supplements. Well, the rest of us, I don't know how close we can get to that. I think supplements are absolute necessity. But that begs the question, what kind of supplement do we need? Are all supplements equal? If they're not, what should I look for in a vitamin mineral supplement? As we just said, ideally, all supplements should adhere to the same criteria Dr. Mark Hyman said. It should be made from fresh, organic, local, non-genetically modified food grown in virgin, mineral-rich soil and is processed within the hours of picking to ensure maximum nutrition content. I don't know if any of these supplements exist, Matt. But on top of that, nutrient levels on these foods are down. Only 25% of us individual gets 5 to 9 servings of produce and fruits. Even if we do eat more produce, the major problem is the fruits and vegetables they don't have the same vitamins and minerals 40, 50 years ago. So actually you would have to eat 10 servings of spinach to match 1 serving of spinach 50 years ago. And Matt, did you realize I don't know why people are crazy about potatoes, but if you actually analyze the content of it, it has lost 100% of the vitamin A, 57% of vitamin C and iron, 28% of calcium, and the list goes on. So if you think you're eating a good diet, you're you're simply not getting the vitamins and minerals 50 years ago. Okay? So simply put, healthy cell makes a healthy body. A good foundation makes a good building. But we have to go, if you really want to understand this, we have to go down to the micro world of cells. But did you know all these cells require own customized nutritional palette, which means amino acid from proteins, essential fatty acid, glucose, mineral, vitamin, trace element, antioxidants. So as Linus Pauling says, when a cell stops working or becomes dysfunctional, the root cause is almost always due to chronic deficiency of essential nutrient or the presence of toxin, which interferes with cellular function. So we need to put the right thing in our body and take the wrong thing out. Our cell does not recognize synthetics, contrary to everybody wants you to believe. Here's a 2003 Nobel Peace Prize winner. In chemistry was awarded to Dr. Peter Ager and Roderick McKinnon. You know what they said? They identify water and ion channels that allow some substance and not other pass through the cell. So these aquaporins, an ion channel, they act as a gatekeeper, letting in what it recognizes, keeping out what it doesn't. Well, guess what? These channels recognize natural food supplementation, and much over the synthetic or man-made vitamins. So the body knows what is natural and which is synthetic. Let's go through like one vitamin. Let's just, with the time we have. Does anybody know what a real vitamin C is? It's not ascorbic acid. Vitamin C is found in whole food, fruits, vegetables, citrus fruit, berries. But did anybody know it's composed of 8 components? And these components are rutin, bioflavonoid, which is vitamin P, factor K, factor J, factor P, and tyrosinase, ascorbinage, and ascorbic acid. You need all components to get the full benefit of vitamin C. You know, ascorbic acid is akin to telling a chef, make me an omelet with an eggshell. That's what an ascorbic acid is. So we need all these cofactors. But if you realize, if you don't have these cofactors, what do you think happens, Matt? We're going to scavenge from the other parts of the tissues and make a vitamin C. So
long term, we may even be more deficient than when we started.
Absolutely.
It kind of defeats the whole point of taking supplements, right?
Absolutely. So we're poisoning ourselves. These act like xenobiotic toxins. This is an interesting one Organic Consumer Association said. Nature always packaged vitamin in groups. The vitamin works together for better absorption. For this reason, the body responds to an isolated vitamin in the same way it responds to a toxin. These are from the Organic Consumer Association. The food that we eat, you have to remember, it serves to create energy. It needs to repair and regenerate the body from within. Also, with all these antioxidant, vitamin C and E, and fractionated supplement we see in a lot of the stores or supermarkets or drugstores, they don't quench free radicals. There's actually the antidote is the actual food, the whole food antioxidants. As everybody knows, what's an antioxidant? It donates an electron. And in that process, that free radical drops to a ground state. It's no longer dangerous to us. Unfortunately, the body doesn't recognize the antioxidant from a fractionated vitamins. And lastly, if you want to look at whole food as a synthetic vitamin can only stimulate a cell. but it cannot upgrade or replace the cell component to make the cell superior. So in the result, you get a degraded cell, a poor cell that functions poorly. You can always tell synthetic supplements from labels. If you get a chemical name like vitamin B1, that's thiamine. If you get vitamin B2, that's riboflavin. But people don't realize synthetic vitamins are derived from petrochemicals. And it involves the use of intense industrial process, harsh chemicals such as ammonia, acetone, and formaldehyde. This is our vitamin that we buy from mostly from our drugstore.
And let me just say that this is a very real issue. Most people don't realize that when you look at a vitamin supplement or vitamin supplement for people in the UK, when you see if you look at the nutritional facts label and you see vitamin C content, say 1,000 milligrams or maybe 100 milligrams, you see vitamin B, it could be B3, B6, could be B12, various other ingredients, and you see the milligrams next to it, that's often an indication that the supplement is a synthetic supplement and has the problems that Paul is talking about, opposed to a supplement actually being from real foods, where you see on the nutritional label, it's like a food label. It's an apple or broccoli or spinach, for example. That's what I really think you're talking about, Paul.
Absolutely. And these fractionated vitamins are actually pretty dangerous, because we can end up with allergic reaction, fatigue, memory loss, depression, insomnia, and the liver disorder, because the liver has to detoxify them. So these synthetics are actually xenobiotics, or foreign substances that our body has to deal with. But like you just said, the fractionated one, these milligrams mean nothing. So as we talked about vitamin C, the vitamins complex is not a vitamin, it's a complex. They have to work together in a synergistic manner. What does synergy mean? It basically means the whole is greater than the sum of its part, not to break it up into little parts like ascorbic acids. Separating the compound and convert it from a physiological, biochemical, active micronutrient into a disabled chemical has little or no value to a living cell. The synergy is gone. So the potency of the vitamin you talked about, 100 milligrams, you can increase to 500 milligrams, 600 milligrams. It has nothing to do with the potencies. Actually, it has more to do with synergy, how the vitamin complex interacts with the body. So you can see that these isolated nutrients, synthetic, fractionated nutrients, are not natural. These are never found in nature. I don't see a riboflavin B1 in nature alone.
Mm-mm.
Right? So as I said, they treat it like as xenobiotics. It's a burden to the body. So I don't know why we're taking these fractionated synthetics. But understand this, most of our food we eat are fortified with fractionated vitamin. Our milk, vitamin D is in there. Cereal, packaged mixes, pasta, canned goods. So it doesn't really matter how much of the inferior vitamin we take, we're still going to be suffering from deficiency, because we're not getting them at all. I think there's a study that came out that vitamin C as low as 400 milligrams will damage the DNA. And what are we taking? 1,000, 1,500 milligrams? But the damage to our system doesn't even stop there. We have excipients and fillers that is added to these fractionated vitamins. What are these things? They're non-medicinal ingredients. It's required by the law. But the law, however, does not hold true for pharmaceutical world. Drug companies are not required to list the non-medicinal ingredient on dispensing labels. But the natural food product, we have to. We don't even know the side effects of these. These are coating, disintegrant, fillers, dilutant, lubricant, preservative, and colors. Let's talk about some of these excipients that's going to harm our body. A lot of people see magnesium stearate. I know you guys don't use it. It suppresses the immune system. What about titanium dioxide on toothpaste? It's a white color, whitening agent. In the rat studies, it's shown to cause respiratory tract cancers. Silica, if it's inhaled into lung cancers. Paraben, used as preservatives. Is there growing evidence is disrupting the hormones? Maltodextrin, the sugar fillers, they're from wheat and corn, most likely it's genetically modified. MSG, we all know that is a neurotoxic agent. And lastly, tau is a carcinogen. So let's leave those fractionated. Why don't we move on to some whole food?
The good stuff. The good
stuff. The good stuff. The essentials. The essentials is all natural vitamins, not the fractionated. And if anybody realize what a powerful product this is, it's packed with antioxidant. It has 30,000 ORAC. If anybody want to know ORAC, it's an oxygen radical absorbent capacity. This is how it fights aging and diseases. Did you know it has red grape? It has resveratrol. Rice bran has carotenoid, lycopene, lutein, and Q10. You know, as people know, carotenoids are natural pigment antioxidant. Q10 helps produce ATP. It also protects the pancreas. Green tea has antioxidant polyphenol. This is an interesting one. From mushroom, you got beta-1,3-glucan. I think a lot of people don't understand this. It's an immunomodulator. It binds to the CDC receptors of parasites, fungi. It never overstimulates. If you overstimulate the immune system, you get autoimmune disease.
So in simple terms, when it's real whole foods, you are getting all those vitamin and minerals, you know, the ones that we talked about with the mg content, the milligram content, but you're actually getting that within these whole foods, which
Absolutely
works 100 times better. I mean, that.
Oh, I think even more. I think even more. But there's also benefit of all these other things in there. I mean, on top of the B's and C's and E's and everything that comes out of it, the apple pectin itself, it absorbs radiation. Fukushima. We got quercetin. It supports respiratory and cardiovascular. So within these cells, there's also these supplements in there, not just the vitamins. And you got acerola, vitamin C. And then you got anthocyanins from berry berries for the brain. And then you have astaxanthin. This is a powerful antioxidant. People don't even realize. It quenches singlet oxygen. What basically it does is it gives us electrons and get the singlet oxygen from a high state to a low state really fast. And you can even tell from the release of thermal energy. So that's included on the essential. Resveratrol from red grape, essential fatty acid from acai and mangoes, polyphenol from green energy. What else do you need? Yeah. Within it, there's all the vitamins and minerals from the fruits and vegetables. Skin health, collagen from vitamin C and astaxanthin. Immune health, like we talked about the vitamin C and the beta-1,3-glucans. Eye health, lutein, astaxanthin, and other carotenoids. The digestive health, the broccoli, it has tons of sulforaphane. And you know what this does? It basically, all the processed meat have nitrates. It prevents nitroamine being converted to carcinogens. People also don't realize this also reduces the inflammation infection by H. pylori. That's why a lot of people who are taking broccoli, they might not have a lot of ulcer compared to other people. Now we're going to move to super green tea, the one you talked about, the digestive support and immunity boost.
Before we do that, Paul, what I will say is I've actually got one of the essentials here. In our latest formulation, we've actually had it certified organic with a couple of ingredients changes. It's an improved formulation, but I just want to make it clear that the ingredients may be slightly different from what we discussed, just in case anyone's doing a comparison. But it is a much better supplement. You can clearly see when you take the product. Yeah,
I heard that all your the farm's been approved for USDA, which is amazing.
Yeah, not just on the essentials, but also the super greens, which you're about to go into.
Absolutely. I don't think people realize what super green D is. I think they think it's just a digestive enzyme, but it's also an immunity booster. If you realize 80% of our immune system is located in the gut, usually on the upper GI tract. Yet the processed food, the antibiotics, the lack of activity, environmental pollutant, they disrupt this immune system that we have. The green leafy vegetable are just what the doctor ordered. This has a really powerful combination that supports the immune system and help balance your body pH. People don't realize green is the one that alkalinizes our blood. Alkalinity is simply put more oxygen. If we have more oxygen, then our body are fully energized with oxygen, and we won't get hypoxia that leads to other pathogens like candida. As we talked about, it has beta-1,3 glucan again for natural killer. Between the gut and the brain. So what they did with children is when they gave the probiotics, there was a 17 decrease in the autism and the ADD rate, attention deficit disorder. So probiotic, there is a definite and as we talked about the sulforaphane, there's 160 milligrams from the super green D. What I find most important is digestion. Most people are bloated. They're not digesting their food. If you don't digest their food, what happens to it? We don't get our amino acid, we don't get our fatty acid, nothing. That way we're going to be constipated. So we need a wide range of digestive enzymes from protease, lipase, cellulase. Why? We can't break down cell proteins. So like we talked about the zeolite. Zeolite can't eliminate a non-charged toxins. Here we got a chlorophyll-rich plant like parsley, grass, spinach, and broccoli. It helps remove toxin from the digestive system that are not charged neutral toxin. So combination of zeolite and super green D, it's a great detoxer. And we should talk about a little about wellspring. I think a lot of people don't understand what a parrot essential oil is. This is a hard topic for a lot of people, I think. Unlike fish oil, plant-based oil, but it is in the amount the body needs. This includes DHA, docosahexaenoic acid, EPA, icosapentaenoic acid. The ALA, or the omega-3, converts to EPA and DHA, and the omega-6 converts to DHA and A. The name doesn't really matter, but realize that DHA in the brain repairs the brain, grows neurite, even grows new synaptic clefts, and it regulates hormone. Imagine if you don't have DHA on a growing child, then we're not having a very good brain. So we talk about parent oil again. It's omega-3 and omega-6, but Matt, you know what the ratio of this is in current American diet?
You're gonna have to educate me on this one. I know it, but to recall it on the spot like this, you're testing.
Okay. Normally it's a 4-to-1 ratio, 6 omega-6 to omega-3. But if you look at our diet, it's 20 to 25 to 1. It's not the ratio that's alarming. It's the AA, arachidonic acid, which is the inflammatory mediator. That's going to cause atherosclerosis and all kinds of inflammatory problems. That's why 4-to-1 ratio is the normal ratio for omegas in our diet. But as you said, we're getting these from, we're not getting DHA, LA separately. We're getting it in food like borage oil, flaxseed oil, pumpkin seed oil, extra virgin coconut oils. We're getting them in oils, not a fractionated DHA or EPAs. So the reason for taking this wellspring is a mediator of joint inflammatory process. So it reduces the inflammation in the joint. It supports the healthy cardiovascular system, aids in stress, blood pressure control, can lower cholesterol. It's important on children's development, DHA. Lower the omega-6, lower the atherosclerosis. And lastly, for people like us right now, we're pretty tired. Green energy is people will, at this certain time, they'll reach for what? Usually caffeine. But I think people should go for green energy. I'll tell you why. Because red blood cell makes up 25% of our cells in our body. And the only function it has, main function, is carry oxygens. But you know what? Undigested protein, people don't believe there's undigested protein in the bloodstream. And these are causing the blood cell to clump. And now the oxygen can't be delivered to the area that's needed. So each capsule is like downing a cup of green tea. It's known for the thermogenic property that your metabolism moving. When you have green tea, you feel like moving. The proteolytic enzyme blasts those undigested bits of food and frees up the flow, energize the oxygen, infuse your body with energy. So green energy is one of the solutions for your fatigue instead of a choice of caffeine.
Thank you, Paul. I'm just, I can't express the gratitude I feel towards you for just going into so much detail and on a whole range of different topics, including the products and the benefits that they bring. I appreciate we're coming up to an hour, which is well over the usual time that we usually run for. So on behalf of Dr. Paul Moon and myself, I really, really want to thank you for joining us tonight. I've been taking notes, and I hope this content and information has been helpful. Paul, we have had quite a few questions coming in. I will actually respond personally to all the questions, as I know we're on a limited time frame here. But again, thank you so much, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.